Welcome back to my channel, y'all. This is Lance, co-founder of BH Capital Enterprises, where I teach black people how to navigate the stock market or any market really using technical analysis. So learning to read price action on a chart, that's what I do. Um, of course, this is not any sort of investment advice. Anything that I do and say here, I can't be held responsible for it. It's strictly for entertainment purposes. Um, what I've been doing for the month of July is challenging myself to break down one chart a day and post it to my YouTube channel. And just kind of follow these tickers as much as I possibly can to see how it goes. It helps me to uh, improve my skills, get better at my craft, and it's something that I really, really do enjoy, and that's interpreting charts. Um, One thing that I also teach in my workshops is to eliminate bias as much as you possibly can. So you develop plans for any type of market scenario that you can think of, given what you're seeing in the chart. So if you have any questions about any of my offerings, um, let me know. I'll leave some information in the description box as well, so you can check that out with some links as well. And if you'd like for me to check out any other tickers, I'm happy to do so. But for day 7 of this 30-day challenge, we are going to talk about Apple. Now, Apple, of course, is a company that I've broken down before. It's actually a company that I used to follow on a daily basis, and that was probably before and immediately after the split. After the split, I kicked Apple off of my watch list because Apple started to behave just like it used to. I think a lot of people got used to that crazy, crazy price action where Apple would move 10, 15 points in a day, not realizing that that wasn't normal behavior for Apple. So, anyway, let's just jump into this thing. I tend to have these long introductions, but this is the yearly chart for Apple. You can see phase 2 of the market cycle currently. These levels are old levels that I drew, and I just left them here. But as usual, I'm going to put a price level right at 2020's closing price, and you can see that's where 2021 opened. And for a good while, Apple struggled to get back above this 2020 closing price. But once it did, it had a nice strong move back up toward the high. It hasn't quite hit that all-time high yet, but getting very close. So 2020's high was 138.79. So I meant close price. Closing price was 132.69. Okay, I about almost confused myself there. All right, so we'll label that appropriately. 2020 close. Show that on the right. There we go. Okay, so 2020 closing price. Actually, let me change that. 132.69 is the correct 69. There we go. All right, so adjust that appropriately. Okay, so so far, the yearly chart continues to show higher highs and higher lows. Um, it's still it honestly it's still early in 2021, so we don't know how this candlestick is going to look toward the end of the year. But for me, I tend to check my yearly charts maybe about once a quarter, but at minimum I check them twice a year. So just to see how things are going, and maybe even make some forecasts or predictions, or try to make some predictions for the end of the year. But yeah, so far Apple is holding above that last year's closing price, which is a good thing in terms of bullishness. Um, let's look at let's check out the monthly chart. There's nothing really much to see on this yearly. All right, so monthly chart. Actually, I'm gonna get rid of these old trend lines here so I can see a bit better. Okay. So as you can see, Apple for a good while was pretty range bound for most of the year, and only recently has Apple started to move outside of this range. Um, Honestly, let's see. Pretty much about here is where most of Apple's price action was happening. Um, and so you can see here during the month of July, Apple is starting to break out here. Um, if we just simply duplicate and go here, then we can get a sense for where this price can go. And that is about close to 160. So, I won't say short term, but, maybe over the next, 6 to 12 months, maybe Apple pushes to 160. Um, but that's not necessarily a prediction, so to speak, but I think that Apple, maybe by the end of the year will be closer to 160, unless something catastrophic happens. But so far, it's finally, after a long extended vacation, Apple is finally starting to move into this area. So um, that's pretty much. Well, actually, let me put a little text box here. Okay, so that'll be my little bullish prediction for Apple. We'll make this white, make it bold. All right, so really, that's pretty much all I'm saying. Well, no, actually, not really. Um, Another one, 61. Let me do a little math right quick. Okay. Okay. So another prediction. Actually, I'm gonna just give a range for as far as predictions are concerned. Apple, I would expect Apple to be somewhere between 160 and 200 by the end of the year, possibly. And what I mean by that is maybe over the next 6 months or so. So we'll see. We'll see. Apple likes to chill out and hang out for a while before it makes its move. So I'm just gonna add that to this. Okay. All right, there we go. So 160 to 200 by end of year is what I would forecast for Apple. Um, as far as bearishness is concerned, I really wouldn't see Apple getting below 100. If but it would require something really really catastrophic in my opinion. Because even with COVID, Apple, um, well, post COVID, Apple, once it got over 100, it never went back there. I think the lowest it got was like 103, and I missed my opportunity to buy some more shares. So that's another disclaimer. I do own shares of Apple. I don't currently hold any options positions, but I am long Apple, and that's not investment advice at all. I just tend to not trade Apple. I just tend to, just buy shares. But anyway, so that's my bullish prediction based on this monthly chart. So let's move on and see what the weekly chart is telling us, but not before I get my screenshot of this monthly chart. All right, so let's take a look at the weekly chart and see if there are any developments here. See a nice ascending triangle pattern here, ascending triangle breakout really on Apple here. Mm. Let's see, short term though, I would watch probably this area. So we've got something like some supply here in this area. So as Apple moves up into this area, I would pay close attention to, what could happen as it gets in there. We can see that historically, once it moves inside this area, it tends to break down. But maybe this time it's really got some good momentum behind it, and maybe it'll push on and kind of ignore this area. But this is definitely an area where I would be very cautious if I am long. So and on the flip side, that's not to say that once it gets inside here to just automatically short it. But just be cautious as Apple moves above this 142 area, and gets into the 143s and heads toward that all-time high. Um, is there anything else that I'm seeing currently? Not really. Not really. Okay. So on the weekly chart, this trend line is pretty significant here. And I'm just gonna actually extend this one to the left a little bit. Activate, and we'll go here. See where it kind of started. Okay, so as you can see, once Apple broke above this trend line here, it's tested it one, two, several times here, but I'll count this as three, four, and then finally bounced away from it. So as it's hitting here, if it rejects this area, then I expect that, maybe it comes back down toward this 2020 close. And this time, maybe that 2020 close holds, as we see this overall sentiment here on the weekly chart, represented by this trend line, continues to close in on this 2020 close area. So if Apple breaks down here, maybe it heads down to 132, depending on when it happens. So if it happens over the next couple of weeks or so, then it heads back down into the 130s, low to mid 130s maybe. But I could be wrong on that, because it could skate right at the high 130s area. But definitely watch this area to the upside. Always keep an eye on this 2020 close. Keep an eye on this trend line here, and I think I'm gonna just change the color of this one, just so it kind of stands out from the others. There we go. So that's your overall sentiment there. And then here's your uh, supply or resistance area, and here's your demand or support area. So as you can see, pretty much every time Apple has tested this area, it has broken out or bounced, and then every time it hits this area, it has broken down, and it hasn't really tested that area many times. So two very important areas, in my opinion, on the weekly chart to keep an eye on. That's pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much it when it comes to this time frame. Still seeing the same thing, that ascending triangle breakout attempt. And then maybe at this point, if it does break down, it retests that breakout area and then, continues on upward toward, and maybe setting a new all-time high at that point. So yeah, if it breaks down here, I would expect that it would come back down toward that breakout area, which is around low 130s, and then bounces on and creates a new all-time high. If it doesn't create a new all-time high before it even breaks down, so um, that's pretty much, yeah, that's pretty much all I see here on the weekly chart. Let me get my screenshot and then I will move on to the daily chart and see what's going on that time frame. Okay. So here you can get a better sense, in my opinion, for what tends to happen when Apple gets inside this area. Here's a little outlier here where it set that all-time high and had a nice breakdown back toward the 200-day moving average. Um, and it actually bounced before it got there. Only recently did Apple kind of hit that, well, not even kind of, it tested that 200-day moving average several times. And then recently, over the past few weeks or so, Apple, nice strong breakout from the mid 120s area. Um, Lots of consolidation, in this area. So again, like we identified in the earlier chart, Apple is finally moving on into trying to get back to that all-time high, but has a couple of obstacles left to get over or get through before that happens. And the most important being this area represented by these two trend lines. And I'm gonna just make these yellow to uh, signal caution. Okay. All right. So that's pretty much, yeah. I don't really have anything else to say when it comes to Apple. Like I said, it's one that I used to follow day to day, literally on a daily basis. And now I don't necessarily watch it nearly as often as I used to. I wish I would have been. Otherwise, I could have caught some of this move at least. But hey, it's all good. Maybe I'll catch some of that move up toward 160 to 200. But either way, I'll be watching. If you guys have any questions or concerns, let me know. Let me know what you think in the comments. Share this with a friend. You know what I'm saying? Thanks for watching. I'll catch you for day 8 on tomorrow. Actually, on the 8th, not tomorrow, which is the 7th. Thanks for watching.